My name is Tyler, and I learned that blood doesn't guarantee loyalty when my uncle fired me from the construction company my grandfather built. Santos Construction had been in our family for 3 generations. Grandpa started it in the 1960s with nothing but a pickup truck and determination. By the time I was born, it was the most respected construction firm in our county, known for quality work and honest dealings. Uncle Mike took over when Grandpa retired, and that's when everything changed. Where Grandpa valued craftsmanship, Mike valued profit margins. Where Grandpa treated workers like family, Mike saw them as expenses to minimize. I started working summers at Santos Construction when I turned 16. While my cousins played video games, I learned to read blueprints, operate heavy machinery, and manage job sites. Grandpa always said I had a natural eye for construction. Tyler gets it, he'd tell Mike. This boy understands that we're not just building structures, we're building trust. Mike would nod and smile, but I could see the irritation in his eyes. He'd wanted his own sons to show interest in the business, but Tommy preferred partying and Jake was more interested in his band than blueprints. After college, I joined Santos Construction full-time as a project manager. I threw myself into the work, often staying late to ensure projects finished on time and under budget. My attention to detail caught the eye of several major developers who specifically requested me for their projects. That's when the tension with Uncle Mike escalated. "You're making the rest of us look bad," he said during one heated meeting. "Stop going above and beyond. We get paid the same whether the job is perfect or just acceptable." I couldn't understand his logic. "Uncle Mike, these clients are offering us bigger contracts because they trust our work. Why would we lower our standards? Because bigger contracts mean bigger headaches. I'm not interested in expanding beyond what we can handle." But I was interested. During my lunch breaks, I started researching emerging construction technologies and sustainable building practices. I attended industry conferences on weekends and built relationships with innovative suppliers. When Meridian Development approached Santos Construction about a $20 million mixed-use project, I was thrilled. It was exactly the kind of forward-thinking development that could establish us as industry leaders. Mike rejected it without even reviewing the plans. "Too risky," he said dismissively. "We stick to what we know." That night, I made a decision that would change everything. I called Meridian's development director, Patricia Williams, and asked if we could meet privately. "I can't speak for Santos Construction," I told her over coffee, "but I might be able to connect you with someone who specializes in exactly what you're looking for." Patricia raised an eyebrow. "Oh, who did you have in mind?" "Give me 2 weeks to make some calls." What Patricia didn't know was that I'd been quietly building my own network of subcontractors and suppliers. Every weekend conference, every lunch meeting with vendors, every relationship I'd cultivated was about to pay off. I incorporated Torres Construction LLC that weekend. Torres was my mother's maiden name, and I figured it was time to honor her side of the family since the Santos side seemed determined to stay small. Within a week, I had assembled a team of the best subcontractors in the region. These were craftsmen who had worked with Santos Construction before but were hungry for more challenging projects. I presented Meridian with a comprehensive proposal that included innovative sustainable materials, cutting-edge building techniques, and a timeline that beat their expectations by 2 months. Patricia called me the next day. "Tyler, this is impressive work. When can we sign the contract?" "Actually, I need to discuss something with my current employer first." I walked into Uncle Mike's office that Monday morning with the signed Meridian contract and a proposal for Santos Construction to partner with Torres Construction on the project. "What the hell is this?" Mike demanded, flipping through the paperwork. "It's the project you rejected. I found a way to make it work." His face turned red. "You went behind my back? You used our company resources to start your own business." "I used my own time and contacts. Santos Construction would be the primary contractor. Torres would handle the specialized work." "You're fired." The words hit me like a physical blow. "Uncle Mike, please. This could make Santos Construction millions." "You're too soft for business," he screamed. "You think you can manipulate me with your college boy ideas? Pack your desk. You're done." I stared at him, this man who used to give me candy at family gatherings, who taught me to drive his old Ford pickup. "Fine," I said quietly. "But the Meridian contract comes with me." "Good luck with that. No bank will finance a kid with no track record." He was wrong about that too. Patricia Williams introduced me to her development partners, who were so impressed with my proposal that they offered to finance Torres Construction's startup costs in exchange for exclusive rights to bid on their future projects. Within a month, I had a legitimate construction company with 3 major contracts and the best crew in the county. Many of Santos Construction's most skilled workers jumped ship to join Torres, tired of Mike's penny pinching and small thinking. I rented office space across town and threw myself into building something Grandpa would be proud of. Torres Construction specialized in sustainable, innovative projects that other companies wouldn't touch. Our first project for Meridian finished 2 weeks early and 15% under budget. Word spread quickly through the development community. Meanwhile, Santos Construction struggled. Without their best workers and with their reputation for innovation gone, they started losing contracts to newer, more aggressive firms. I heard through industry connections that Mike was scrambling to land a major contract to keep the company afloat. Torres Construction was booked solid for the next 18 months, while Santos was bidding desperately on projects they once would have rejected. Then Patricia called with an opportunity that would change everything. "Tyler, I have a developer who needs a complete renovation of the old Riverside Mall. It's a $12 million project, but they want to move fast. The catch is they're taking bids from several firms, including Santos Construction." My heart pounded. Santos is bidding on this? They are. From what I hear, they desperately need this contract. Their cash flow is pretty tight. I spent 3 days preparing the most comprehensive proposal of my career. This wasn't just about winning a contract anymore. This was about proving that the soft kid Mike had fired was actually the future of construction in our county. The presentation was scheduled for Friday afternoon at Riverside Development Group's downtown office. I had no idea who else would be presenting, but I suspected Uncle Mike would be there. As I walked into the sleek conference room that Friday, carrying my presentation materials and wearing my best suit, I felt a mixture of nervousness and anticipation. The Riverside team was impressive. 5 executives, including CEO David Chin, who had a reputation for being brilliant but demanding. "Mr. Torres," Chin said, standing to shake my hand. "We've heard remarkable things about your work with Meridian. We're excited to see what you propose for our project." For the next hour, I presented my vision for transforming the aging mall into a mixed-use community center with retail space, office suites, and affordable housing units. I showed them how innovative materials could reduce construction costs while improving energy efficiency. When I finished, Chin smiled. "This is exactly the kind of forward-thinking approach we're looking for. However, we do have one more presentation to hear before making our decision." "Of course. The team from Santos Construction should be here shortly." My stomach dropped. I hadn't expected to be presenting on the same day as Uncle Mike. Chen's assistant appeared in the doorway. "Mr. Chin, the Santos Construction team is here." "Perfect. Mr. Torres, would you mind waiting in the adjacent conference room? We'll call you both back in once we've heard all presentations." I gathered my materials and moved to the smaller conference room, my heart racing. Through the thin walls, I could hear Uncle Mike's voice as he began his presentation. "Santos Construction has been serving this community for over 60 years, he was saying. "We believe in traditional methods and proven results." I listened as he outlined a conventional renovation plan that would cost more and take longer than my proposal. His voice lacked the confidence I remembered from my childhood when he seemed larger than life. After 30 minutes, I heard chairs scraping and goodbyes being exchanged. Chen's assistant appeared at my door. "Mr. Torres, they're ready for you." I walked back into the main conference room, where Chin and his team were reviewing both presentations. "Mr. Torres, we've made our decision. Your proposal is innovative, cost-effective, and exactly what this community needs. We'd like to offer Torres Construction the Riverside Mall renovation contract." Relief and triumph washed over me simultaneously. "Thank you, Mr. Chin. You won't regret this decision." "There is one condition," Chin added. "We'd like to meet with both companies together to discuss potential collaboration opportunities. Santos Construction has the local relationships and Torres has the innovation. Perhaps there's a way to combine your strengths." My mouth went dry. "You want me to work with Santos Construction? We want you to consider it. Would you be available for a meeting Monday morning?" I knew Uncle Mike would be desperate enough to agree to anything at this point. The question was whether I was ready to face him again. Monday morning arrived with a cold rain that matched my mood. I sat in my car outside the Riverside Development offices, watching Uncle Mike's familiar red pickup pull into the parking lot. He looked older than I remembered, more tired. The swagger that used to intimidate me was gone, replaced by the hunched shoulders of a man under pressure. I waited 5 minutes before following him inside. The receptionist led us to Chen's corner office, where floor-to-ceiling windows offered a view of the city skyline. Uncle Mike was already seated when I walked in. He glanced up casually, then did a double-take that would have been funny under different circumstances. "Tyler." His voice cracked slightly. "What are you doing here?" David Chen looked between us with interest. "You two know each other?" "He's my nephew," Mike said slowly, his face growing pale. "But I don't understand why he's—" "Mr. Santos," Chen interrupted, "I'd like you to meet Tyler Torres, CEO of Torres Construction, the company that just won the Riverside Mall renovation contract." The silence that followed was deafening. Uncle Mike's mouth opened and closed without sound. His hands gripped the arms of his chair. "You," he whispered finally. "You're Torres Construction?" I nodded calmly. Surprised. "The company that's been taking all our contracts, that's been stealing our workers, that's you?" "I prefer to think of it as offering better opportunities." Chen leaned forward. "Gentlemen, I can see there's history here. But I asked you both to come because this project needs both of your strengths. Santos Construction has deep community roots, and Torres Construction has innovative vision." Uncle Mike found his voice. "You want me to work for him?" "Not for him," Chin corrected. "With him. As equal partners on this project." I watched Uncle Mike process this information. 6 months ago he'd thrown me out of his office, telling me I was too soft for business. Now he needed me to save his company. "What do you say, Uncle Mike?" I asked quietly. "Ready to try some of those college boy ideas?" His face flushed red. "You think this is funny? You think destroying the family business is some kind of joke?" "I didn't destroy anything. I just refused to let your small thinking limit what we could accomplish." "Small thinking?" He stood up abruptly. "I built Santos Construction into something stable, something reliable. You maintain what Grandpa built. There's a difference between building and maintaining." Chin cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should discuss the specific terms of collaboration." "No," Uncle Mike said firmly. "I won't be lectured by some kid who thinks 6 months makes him a construction expert." I pulled out my phone and opened my project portfolio. Torres Construction has completed 8 major projects in 6 months. Combined value, $47 million. Client satisfaction rating, 100%. On-time completion rate, 100%. I slid the phone across the table. Santos Construction's numbers for the same period? Uncle Mike's jaw worked silently. 3 small projects, I continued. Combined value, $2.8 million. 2 finished late, 1 over budget. You stole my workers. I offered them better wages, better projects, and respect for their skills. They chose to leave. Chin intervened again. "Mr. Santos, your company is facing serious financial difficulties. This partnership could solve those problems. And what would you get out of it?" Uncle Mike asked me directly. For the first time since walking into the room, I hesitated. What did I want? Revenge? Vindication? Or something deeper? "I want to honor what Grandpa built," I said finally. "He created Santos Construction to serve this community with quality work. You've been so focused on protecting what he left that you forgot to grow it. So you're going to teach me how to run the business my father built? I'm going to save the business you've been running into the ground." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Uncle Mike's face cycled through anger, hurt, and finally something that looked like resignation. "What are your terms?" he asked quietly. I looked at Chin, who nodded encouragingly. "Torres Construction takes the lead on this project. Santos Construction provides local workforce and community connections. Profits split 60-40. 60-40 in whose favor? Wine. Torres is bringing the contract, the innovation, and the financing." Uncle Mike was quiet for a long moment. "And after this project?" "That depends on how well we work together." He stared out the window at the rain. "Your grandfather would be ashamed of how this family has fallen apart. Would he? Or would he be proud that his grandson refused to settle for mediocrity?" Finally, Uncle Mike looked at me directly. "You really think you can make this work?" "I know I can. The question is whether you're ready to trust me. Chin smiled. Does this mean we have a partnership? Uncle Mike extended his hand across the table. Partners. As we shook hands, I felt something shift between us. Not forgiveness exactly, but understanding. One condition, I said. No more calling me soft. For the first time that morning, Uncle Mike almost smiled. We'll see, kid. We'll see. 6 months later, the Riverside Mall renovation was featured on the cover of Construction Today magazine. The article called it, "A perfect blend of traditional craftsmanship and innovative design." Uncle Mike kept the magazine on his desk, right next to a photo of Grandpa breaking ground on his first project. Not bad for a soft kid, he admitted one evening as we reviewed plans for our next joint venture. Not bad for an old-school contractor willing to learn new tricks, I replied. Santos Construction was officially born that day, combining the best of both our approaches. We kept Grandpa's commitment to quality while embracing the innovation he would have loved. Family business, it turned out, wasn't just about blood. It was about building something together that honored the past while reaching for the future.